Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gitte Mary and in today's video we'll be talking about period underwear, menstrual pants, menstrual panties, period pants. I have talked a lot about period products on this platform and especially so reusable and more sustainably oriented period products. That is because two reasons. First of all, because half the world's population experience periods. It's one of the most normal human experiences on the planet. So completely unrelated to sustainability, I think it's really important to normalize a casual, non-shameful, non-judgmental, non-censored conversation about periods because it's not gross, it's not shameful, it's not embarrassing, it's normal. And if my platform can play a part in that normalization, I'm good to go. But then there's the other aspect. It's the environmentalist aspect because a lot of the period products available today are disposable and that comes with a massive impact. Luckily, we are seeing more and more reusable options and I've talked about the cup in many videos, 4 or 5 videos just about the menstrual cup and how to use that. And today's video we'll be talking about the period underwear, which over the last few years has gained quite the momentum and for good reason. I am a personal big fan myself. So I have asked you guys what are your questions about this product. I have looked internally and thought, what would I have liked someone to have told me before I started using this? And I've come up with a list. We're gonna talk about some of the myths, the misconceptions, and get some things straight. But before we can do that, this video is sponsored. This video is sponsored by Ruby Cup. Ruby Cup has been a partner of mine for years and we also worked together on one of my previous menstrual cup videos. One that went pretty viral, which I'm so happy to see. Let's get that body positive information out there. Anyway, they have also launched period underwear. Personally, I really like Ruby Cup both as an overall brand but also their specific period pants, and here's why. Ruby Cup has a donation program. They donate to educational programs and they also donate period products to people without safe access to those products, which I think is amazing. Currently, they have donated more than 242,000 cups to people without safe access to products. That's pretty incredible. And they range in sizes from extra small to 4XL. Furthermore, if you're concerned or curious about chemicals in period underwear, because that has been on the news, the Ruby Cup period underwear is also certified with the 100 standard from Ecotex, which means that we do not have to worry about our literal underwear unaliving us. Well, that's nice. I definitely recommend you checking them out. I've left some links in the description. Thank you so much to Ruby Cup for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get into busting some myths. Of course, period underwear is not just some magical place where an infinite amount of period blood just goes to vanish. Typically, period underwear holds between 1 to 2 tampons. The Ruby Cup underwear holds around 3 tampons worth, so have that in mind when you use them. For some days, and if you're on a lighter flow, you can use the same pair of underwear throughout the entire day. But other days, if you normally would have emptied your cup several times or changed your tampon several times, it might be a good idea to either have a backup solution or an extra pair of period underwear in your bag just in case. Thinking about the period underwear sort of in the equivalence of tampons is a really good idea. Then you kind of know what you're working with and on what days this is a great option for you. Realistically speaking, and from personal experience, I would say that period underwear is an addition to your routine, but not something that can be a 100% replacement. I say that because of the aforementioned fact that it holds 3 tampons worth if you're using Ruby, and otherwise, I guess between 1 to 2, depending on the absorption level and the quality. That means that on some days you will have to change your period underwear many times, and a normal period lasts between 5 to 7 days on average. That's a lot of period underwear. That is a lot of product. I would recommend using them in addition to other options and not replacing all your other options with the period underwear. But as an extra tool in your routine, it's an absolute lifesaver. For instance, on days where I have to be physically active, I don't feel comfortable just using a reusable pad on my cup because I'm too scared of leakage. I've experienced it too many times. Then I double back myself. The way I can say things. But I both use my cup and I use period underwear. Then I feel completely secure also during the night, especially around day 2 and 3. Both things, which means, luckily, that when I sneeze, I don't flinch. If you know, you know. And this is not to say that period underwear aren't good options on their own. I would say the same thing about the cup. period underwear, in my experience, just tends to run a bit small. At least that's my experience. Generally, all the brands I've tried, they tend to run a bit small. And that's because you have the padding and they need to be kind of tight on you because you don't want the blood to flow out. It makes perfect sense. I hate anything that's too tight on me. And I also feel very insecure if I'm wearing something that's too small during my period. That's a general thing, but especially so on my period. So I tend to go for a size larger than my normal underwear. And even though I do that, I haven't experienced like the blood flowing out. I haven't experienced any leaks. So I think it's okay. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than being on your period and then feeling an elastic band on your stomach. Bear that in mind. You can also check out the size chart because, hey, sizes vary so much from brand to brand and from business to business. So think about that if you want to buy period underwear. Check the size chart and perhaps think about going a size up. In terms of maintenance, you can absolutely machine wash your period pants, but you shouldn't dry them in the tumble dryer. Before I throw my period pants into the machine wash, I give them a light rinse in cold water just to take out most of the blood, and then I wash them with my normal laundry whenever it's time for that. I've never experienced my period underwear staining the rest of my clothes, and I typically tend to rinse them right after I'm done using them, and then I let them dry. Then when they're dry, I put them into my laundry bin, and when it's time for my laundry, I wash them with the rest of my laundry. It doesn't smell, it doesn't stain. It's very undramatic in that regard. So what if you want to change your period underwear in the middle of the day and you're not home? What do you do then? Just like emptying the menstrual cup in the middle of the day, you need a game plan. When I want to change from a set of period underwear to another, is that I bring a little plastic, I said plastic. I bring a little plastic bag, a zip tie bag, or a stasher bag, which is made of silicone. Reusable options for the win. Then I take my used pair of period underwear, blood and everything. I don't rinse it because typically, and in many restrooms, you have to go out of your little stall. You have to go into the sink to rinse. I don't do that. I just put them into the stasher bag and then I put it into my bag and then I put on my other period underwear and then I rinse when I get home. Every time I talk about the more practical stuff like this, I have people in my comments saying, oh, that's so gross. Oh, I could never do that. Oh, aren't you embarrassed? It's so normal. Why are we this terrified of it? I don't understand. So I don't know other people's relationship with blood in general, so I don't want to give anyone a fright by going out into the public sinks and washing my underwear. You don't know what people has been through. I don't want to trigger anything. The blood is not dangerous, so I just put it into my little stasher bag and then I seal it really tightly and then nothing happened. The vast majority of the blood is absorbed into the underwear, so it doesn't drip or anything like that. It's again very undramatic, but that's what I do if I have to change from one pair to another and I'm not home. Anyway, you're far less likely to leak into your clothes if you're wearing period underwear rather than if you're just wearing pads. With a pad, and I think everyone who's ever used a pad sort of knows this feeling where it glides. And the gliding really escalates the leakage for sure. With the period underwear, it's all very stable because you have more fabric holding the absorption layer in place, which means that you're far less likely to leak. Last time I was using a pad, and it wasn't actually that long ago because I was traveling, I didn't know I was getting my period, it was very irregular, and then I didn't have any of my products, so I had to buy a pad. And the way that these emotional memories came rushing back to me of being a teenager and incredibly insecure about this pad just floating around, like I would not go back to that. I have never felt the same type of insecurity using my period underwear because it just feels like a lot more secure. One of the things that I did see some people asking about in the comments was whether or not you could feel the blood coming out like you can when you're using a pad. And yes, that sensation is the same thing. I've always associated the feeling of feeling the blood coming out of you to this insecurity of where is it gonna end up? Is it gonna glide all the way to my back? Is it gonna come to my stomach in the front? The insecurity, once again, the unpredictability of it all. However, that association has been dissolved with period underwear because I know exactly where this stuff is going, which means that that sensation isn't as terrifying anymore. So many people are worried about the smell. So let's talk about the smell. First of all blood that has been in contact with air will start to smell. That is a natural given process. And periods tend to have an odor to them. Now, that doesn't mean that it's unsafe, that you're ill, that it's gross, that it's unhygienic. It means none of those things. It is a completely natural response to blood being out into the air. And with external period products like pads, like period underwear, you will be in contact with that smell a lot more than with internal period products. When you're using a cup, for instance, because of the vacuum seal, there's not the same flow of air, so it doesn't smell the same way. And personally, I've just never experienced the period underwear smelling once you wash it. Once you wash it, we're back to square one, it's fine. If you're worried about more smells, like everybody's different. If you feel something lingering, you can use a few drops of vinegar. Once you rinse your period underwear, try to get the most of the blood out. You don't have to get all the blood out, like it doesn't matter, it's okay. The majority of it's out. It's sort of for your own peace of mind. Then you put a few drops of vinegar onto the internal padding of the product, and then you wash them as normal. That is going to remove the majority of the smell. However, whenever I talk about or post something about periods, or I ask something about periods, these thoughts, concerns that so many people have about the smell, whether or not someone can tell. And to some extent, I do understand, but I think we really need to relax about it. It's so normal, and I wish that I could take that feeling of shame or embarrassment away from you. I really, really wish I could do that and sort of leave you with a feeling of either indifference or honestly appreciation, because what your body is doing is amazing. And if the only feelings you have about that process are negative, it just breaks my heart, honestly, it does. From a natural perspective, there is often so much pain and discomfort related to having a period. So we don't need the cultural stigma and the shame and the guilt and the embarrassment on top of that, because that's self-made, or at least it's sort of like society-made. Now, one of the things that makes sure that you don't leak out everywhere is the fact that they fit on pretty tight. And if you want to maintain those qualities, there are some things that you can do maintenance-wise to your underwear that make sure that they don't simply stop working the way that you want them to work. First of all, no tumbler dryer. That just fucks up the internal absorption layers, crumbles them up together. It's not fun. So don't do that. Only hang dry. But also no fabric softener, no ironing, and no bleach. Now, I want to keep it real with you guys, because otherwise, why the fuck are we here? So period underwear, especially the more effective ones that absorb more blood, you can get thinner options that only hold like half or one tampon. But when you get into sort of the bulky bits, into the actual content, the shot glass content, you will, sorry about that, you will be able to see that the absorption layer reflects the amount of blood that it's able to hold, which means that some period underwear can look or feel a bit bulky, especially on your butt. Sometimes it can feel a little bit like a diaper. Not always, and it's definitely worse in your head than it is in real life, by the way, bestie. 100% worse in your head than it looks. But the feeling of it is definitely valid and real. What I tend to do, especially if I'm leaving my house, if I'm not leaving my house and I'm wearing something like this, I will just be wearing my sweatpants, to be honest. But if I'm leaving my house, I put on a pair of tights, either cotton or wool tights, or a pair of like polyester tights, whatever you usually wear, especially the ones that has a little bit of sort of like a lifting and squeezing in effect. Wear that. It helps to smooth things out a little bit. And then I tend to style my outfits accordingly. If I'm wearing period underwear, there are certain types of clothes that I will shy away from because I will be too self-conscious about it, and I don't want to spend the mental energy thinking about that or looking into it or working on it, by the way, so leave me alone. So what I'll do is that I'll wear a comfy skirt or a comfy dress instead. Much better option. That means that my brain can take a vacation from being self-conscious, which is always amazing, and I still feel secure and leak-proof. So, do period underwear contain plastic? Well, yes, kind of. They contain synthetic textile materials. They kind of have to. At least I've never seen any brand or company making period underwear, at least in any decent quality, that does not use those materials. It's polyester, it's spandex, and it's nylon, because it's with those materials that you can achieve the function of period underwear. I've never seen any product without them. So that's just where we are at this point in time. Then there is the issue of PFAS chemicals, or it's sort of a category, a family of chemicals that has been found in many different consumer products. They're also known as forever chemicals because they bioaccumulate both in your body as well as in the environment, and you can never get rid of them. They are here forever, which is frightening, and they come with quite the environmental damage as well as quite the health implications. There are documentaries and articles that explain this way better than I do, but in terms of period products, they have been found in tampons, in pads, as well as in certain types of period underwear. There has been studies on the use of PFAS chemicals in period underwear, and these studies range in quality quite drastically, by the way. Now, one of the things you can do as a consumer to safeguard yourself a little bit from these chemicals is looking for certifications that sort of try to fight the use of these chemicals. One of those certifications is the Standard 100 from Ecotex. Now, this standard I've talked about before, specifically in context to fashion, and one of the things I've criticized about this certification before is the fact that it's often used to say something is super sustainable or super ethical, when in fact it has nothing to do with wages for workers or working environments, anything of the sort. It has to do with the material and whether or not harmful chemicals are present within the material. So if that's what we're looking for, this is a great certification to do that. It just doesn't talk about the ethics of the workplace or how people are treated. So that's something for another story. That's something for other certifications to handle. It's just very important that we know what certifications actually mean. And to make that easier, I also have 2 or 3 videos explaining these different kinds of certifications. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave those down below. But that's a really great place to start looking for the Standard 100 Ecotex certification. I hope this video was helpful in terms of answering some of the questions you might have about period underwear or debunking some of the myths and misconceptions about these products. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. Ask them down below, ask away. And thank you so much to Ruby Cup for sponsoring this video. All their information is also left in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day. I will see you guys next time. Take really good care of yourselves. Until then, bye. Thank you so much for watching this video, and also a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys help me create green, zero-waste content, and I love you guys. You can find the links to my social media accounts down below and the link to my Patreon on this screen. Bye!